communication with Banks for a long period of time, right?
He couldn't even tell you, like, at any point when you speak to him what a problem is. I put him like where I put Marquise.
You and Banks are not hanging out at the strip.
Take some responsibility for Lloyd Banks and Tony Ayo.
What responsibility? Like a parent?
You're the leader.
What responsibility am I taking for him? Like, explain to me.
That you didn't encourage them to be independent sooner.
That's not.
Lloyd Banks is finally breaking his silence on what really went down between him and 50 Cent. And he's not holding back. He's calling out the years of disrespect, the fake stories, and how 50's been twisting their past like it's a game. G-Unit was a powerhouse when they hit the scene. 50 might have been the front man, but Banks brought the fire. His delivery, his voice, his bars, unmatched. They were supposed to be like brothers, or so it seemed. But once the fame kicked in, things took a turn. 50 started throwing shade in interviews, calling Banks lazy and saying he didn't want it bad enough. 50 even took shots at Banks in his book, making it sound like Banks just gave up on himself, like he was washed. And back then, Banks didn't say a word. No online rants, no slick responses. Until now. In a new interview, Banks finally aired it all out. And he's clearly done letting 50 twist the story. He says 50 was nowhere to be found during the darkest moments of his life. And that whole lazy label, straight up false. What's wild is that Banks was grinding the whole time, just not the way 50 wanted him to. But 50 being who he is, of course he didn't stay quiet. He clapped back quick and threw fresh shade at Banks. So now the real question is, what really went down? How did a brotherhood like G-Unit turn into all this drama? And who's actually telling it straight, 50 or Banks?
This is something. Wait till they see Lloyd Banks.
Let's break it all down. For years, Lloyd Banks kept quiet about all the drama with 50 Cent. But now, after 50 took yet another shot, completely out of nowhere, Banks had enough and decided it was time to speak up. During a recent tour stop, 50 name-dropped Lloyd and Young Buck in some behind-the-scenes footage on Instagram, and it sounded like he was throwing shade at Banks for not being as successful. That jab didn't go unnoticed. And this right here shows the real difference between the two. Banks don't play the social media game. He doesn't throw slick comments in interviews or chase clout with sneak disses. But when he sat down for a rare interview, he finally opened up. He spoke on everything, the lies, the lazy talk, and how 50's been pushing that tired narrative for years. And you could feel it. This wasn't just about old beef. It was deeper than that. This wasn't just rap politics. This was personal. Banks laid it out plain. He wasn't being lazy. He was grieving. Around the same time, 50 was calling him unmotivated. Banks had just lost his father. He was going through real pain, real-life heartbreak, and instead of getting support,
tattooed on his arm. He literally wears his laziness on his sleeve. He's always projected an unhelpful mixture of being both introverted and cocky at the same time.
He got blasted, publicly, and not just once. Interviews, books, memes. 50 turned it into a whole campaign against him. Yeah, 50 admitted Banks can rap, called him a decent lyricist, but then hit him with that backhanded insult, saying he lacked the charisma and grind to ever be a real star. Brrr. But according to Banks, 50 was never really there when it counted, not during the dark times, not when life got heavy. And that cut way deeper than any diss track ever could. Banks also shut down the whole "he fell off" talk. Since 2021, he's dropped 3 full albums, the course of the Inevitable series, all without a label push or radio spins. No chart-chasing singles, no flashy rollouts, just straight bars and consistency. If you've been locked in, you'd know Banks never stopped rapping. He just stopped playing the industry game. And that's the heart of it all.
Banks' temperament was definitely a little crazy. I'm not saying anything here that I haven't said to Banks directly. Another time I sat down with him, just when IG was starting to pop off, and tried to drop this gem on him. You gotta get on Instagram, I encouraged him. You can be a little awkward in person, so this is actually a better way for you to communicate with people. Nah, I don't want to do it, he said. Why not? You can literally put punchlines under your pictures, make some new fans. Nah, that's corny, he told me. When Banks made that comment.
Banks wasn't the type of artist 50 wanted him to be. He's not flashy, not obsessed with always being seen, and definitely not out here chasing viral trends. He's a rapper's rapper, all about the bars, not the buzz. And that's exactly why 50 switched up on him. In 50's world, if you ain't helping the empire stack up, you're dead weight. And Banks? He wasn't trying to be a soldier anymore. Now, just to break down how all this even started. 50, Banks and Tony Yayo weren't just rap buddies. They came up together in South Jamaica, Queens. This was real neighborhood history, not some label-built friendship. These were kids trying to escape the struggle, using music as their way out. And when 50 skyrocketed with Get Rich or Die Trying, he didn't forget his crew. He brought them with him. G-Unit wasn't just a group. It was a whole movement, a brand, a lifestyle. And when it came to bars, Banks stood out hard. 50 had the hooks and the spotlight charm. But Banks? He had that icy delivery and razor-sharp wordplay. Fans respected that. His mixtape grind was next level. Money in the Bank, Cold Corner, all classics.
He's a very good lyricist. Among what are known as the punchline rappers, rappers who will end their bars with a funny or tongue-in-cheek line, Banks liked to call himself the PLK, or Punchline King. I don't know if he's the king, but I'll give it to him that he's in the conversation. He is not, however, a great live performer, stylish dresser, or a domineering personality. So if he doesn't check those three boxes, how is he going to get bigger and become the star in real life?
Back in 2004, Banks dropped The Hunger for More, and it exploded. That album went platinum in less than a month. Tracks like On Fire, Karma, and I'm So Fly, straight up classics. At that moment, it really felt like G-Unit was unstoppable. 50 was owning the charts, Banks was proving he was a legit MC, Yayo had his own buzz, and then Young Buck and Game came in, adding even more heat. They had the streets and the industry on lock. Music, clothing lines, Reebok deals, even video games. The crew's chemistry seemed untouchable, and Banks wasn't just some sidekick. He was helping shape the whole movement. His voice, his delivery, his energy, that was part of G-Unit's DNA. Even 50 used to say Banks was one of the rawest rappers in the crew. But once that fame started stacking up, things changed. The cracks started showing, and Buck, he was the first to get kicked out.
Banks for a long period of time, right?
He couldn't even tell you, like, at any point when you speak to him what the problem is. I put him like where I put Marquise.
You and Banks are not hanging out at the strip club,
No, he goes though.
but you don't go.
No, I don't see me there. We went to Atlantic City. We was in it was a showcase. They expect a show to happen tonight.
Performance.
Yeah, like, they said, yeah, we will see you at the show tonight. And I go, oh, they expecting a show. Like, I was like, yo, call all of them, tell them to come here. When I asked Banks, like, when you go to perform your shows,
Game went rogue, and just like that, the G-Unit machine started losing steam. And while all that chaos was unfolding, Banks slowly began to fall back. He was never the loudmouth type, but now, he was barely around at all. The split wasn't loud, no blow-up. But the distance between him and 50, super obvious. After that first G-Unit wave, the vibe shifted. The unity was gone, and it started feeling like solo acts just sharing a logo. 50 even admitted that too much mess went down for there to ever be a real G-Unit reunion. That door shut for good. Meanwhile, Banks kept sliding further away from the spotlight. No press runs, no interviews, not even showing up at 50's public events. To a lot of fans, it looked like Banks just checked out completely. But behind the scenes, it was way more layered than that. While Banks kept quiet, 50 was still doing interviews, tossing out light shade and recycling that old lazy label. He kept saying he did everything to help Banks win, but that Banks didn't want it bad enough, didn't grow, and didn't get how the business really worked.
He and Pac were both popping. So that makes sense that they still resonate with him so deeply. I can relate. I still love the music from when I was that age too. The difference is I haven't patterned my career after KRS-One and Coogee Rap. What would be the point of that? They were both incredible in their moment. But I've always been concerned about creating my own moment rather than copying theirs.
In one interview, 50 straight up said, Banks had the skills, but no hustle. He even came at him for not being on social media, like that was the deal breaker. But that's just not who Banks is. He's the type to move in silence, handle his craft behind closed doors, and skip the fake industry games. No clout chasing, no drama, just music. And for a lot of fans, That made him real. But to 50, that made him a risk. Then 50 dropped Hustle Harder, Hustle Smarter, and that's when he really turned it up. He called out both Banks and Yayo, saying they were stuck in the past, refusing to level up. He singled Banks out by name, saying he got too comfortable, didn't want to grow, and just stayed in his zone. 50 basically called him a wasted shot, someone with all the talent in the world, but let it slip through his fingers. That book was the first time 50 really made it clear. He was distancing himself from Banks for real. And while Banks kept it quiet publicly, fans are convinced he responded in his own way. Through his track, Stranger Things. That song had lines that felt real personal. This right here is where Lloyd and 50 see things totally different. For Banks, he's exactly where he wants to be.
We came to that room, we talked about, I think I irritated him earlier playing with the entourage. Yeah. With MO and them, like, cause I look.
Thanks, is that true?
To him, being mega famous doesn't equal success. Success means doing what you love and taking care of your family. Period. And let's not forget, Banks already owned the whole Lazy label. He even got the Lazy Lloyd tattoo inked on him. Banks has even admitted it in interviews. When 50 called him out, he didn't deny it. He said, "Is that true?" Like someone who knows he's more chill than most. Yeah, he's laid back, but that ain't the same as lazy. Banks just doesn't want all the extra noise that comes with being a full-time celebrity. He's here to make music, not to play the industry circus. But 50? He saw that as a lack of hunger. And here's where it really gets deep. To 50, loyalty is everything. Anyone who steps even a little out of line, cut off without hesitation. In his own words, 50 said he'd rather be held at gunpoint than be betrayed. He sees himself as the kind of guy who rides hard for his people, ready to go all in, even risk his life if he has to. So when someone close to him switches up or doesn't match that same energy, to 50, that's worse than death. That's a line you don't come back from. So it's not just about Lloyd Banks. 50 treats betrayal like it's the ultimate sin, no matter who you are. This is the same man who cut off his own son, Marquise, because he felt like the loyalty just wasn't there. Yeah, his own son. So if 50's willing to turn his back on blood over disloyalty, you already know his friends never stood a real chance. Look at Tony Yayo, another original G-Unit soldier, 50's day one. For years, Yayo was right by his side, but even he couldn't escape the fallout. As soon as any rumors of disloyalty started, whether true or just twisted up, 50 didn't waste a second calling him out in public. And then there's young Buck. Buck played a major role in G-Unit's early 2000s run. He helped bring the Southern heat. But the second 50 caught even a whiff of betrayal, he booted Buck in the most dramatic public way possible. No hesitation, no second chances. Even game, once the hottest G-Unit signee, got iced out. And we all know the fallout between him and 50, straight up legendary. So when 50 saw that reunion photo of Lloyd Banks and Game popping up online, it hit different. That was the final nail in the coffin. 50 didn't stay silent either. In a now deleted post, he wrote, "What do you see when you look at this picture? I see confusion. I'm not sure if it's just me. I'm a cancer-ish. Don't get old with me. I never asked for trouble, but I really don't have a problem with it. I'm different." Then he added, "The question isn't how I feel about it, but how does Loey Mac feel about it? Some ish is just better off left alone." That post said everything without saying it directly,